Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Patu, and we are here on the final Saturday of October, and that means just 2 more days into Halloween. But we got this final video before the special Halloween ending, and we are joined with our co-host, rocking his new little Shrek hat, and of course, our new little co-host, Hisui and Zorua. Say hi. Awesome. But today, guys, we're going to be going my favorite, most anticipated video I've had planned for this month, and that is the creepy Pokemon Iceberg. Creepy Pokemon Iceberg is going to be so much fun to get through. This is part 1 of the part 2 special. Part 2 will be coming out on Halloween, obviously, like I have stated, and I am so excited for y'all to watch. Just a quick little thing. I think I cover it again later in the video, but Iceberg goes from the mainstream, everybody knows at the very tippy top, but as you get lower through the iceberg, you start to see very, very different things that you wouldn't see anywhere else, and this time, it's creepy stuff. So, without further ado, turn the lights down, and let's get into it. Entering the second floor of a certain building in Lumio City will cause the music to stop and the lights to flash, followed by a ghostly girl materializing behind the player and gliding towards the bottom of the screen in a frozen walking animation. She will then mutter, "No, you're not the one," for floating off screen and disappearing completely. Creepypastas are horror-related legends that have been shared around the internet. Creepypasta has since become a catch-all term for any horror content posted onto the internet. These internet entries are often brief, user-generated paranormal stories intended to scare readers. These certain tales are Pokemon-related, and more will continue to have specific stories through this iceberg. The ghost of a Marowak haunts the Pokemon Tower in Lavender Town. This ghost is the mother of Cubone. You fight her in red, blue, yellow, fire red, leaf green, and most recently in the 2 Let's Go games. The Lavender Town Syndrome, also known as a Lavender Town Tone or Lavender Town Suicides, was a peak in suicides and illnesses of children between the ages of 7 and 12 shortly after release of Pokemon Red and Green in Japan, back in February 27th, 1996. Rumors say that these suicides and illnesses only occurred after the children playing the game reached Lavender Town, whose music had extremely high frequencies. That study shows that only children and young teens can hear, since their ears are more sensitive. Obviously, these aren't true. If they were Pokemon, definitely wouldn't be around. But it's interesting that some people, including me, of the age, believe this was real. It was terrifying, and one of the most popular stories known. Residence of my co-host, Gengar. Let's take a listen, shall we? Missing No, short for missing number, and sometimes spelled without the period, is an unofficial Pokemon species found in the video games Pokemon Red and Blue. Due to the programming of certain in-game events, player can encounter Missing No via a glitch. It is noted as one of the most famous video glitches of all time. This glitch does a lot more than just a weird sprite. And I recommend looking at some of the weird glitch videos, not going over Mythic No itself, but looking at some good creepypastas. But with that, how about we move lower down? The Great Pokemon War, or the Kanto War, is a supposed war that took place years prior to the events in Pokemon Red and Blue. The reason as to why the war was started are unknown. What is known, however, is that Lieutenant Surge, the gym leader of Vermilion City, was most likely a soldier in this war. When you first encounter Surge in Vermilion City, he rambles on about how an electric-type Pokemon saved his butt during the war. But he never goes into any detail as to what the war was. He's also depicted. I can't believe I just messed that up.
Pokemon are only weak to ground types, so I'm gonna go over to my Sandslash, one and only ground type
everything
Pokemon.
now. Was a surgeon sometimes.
Voltorb is really fast. It knows Screech to lower your defense. Also Tackle and Sonic Boom. But
why Blue supposedly.
Yeah, it's really not much of a match for any ground type Pokemon. If you don't have something like a Sandslash, go catch a Diglett in the Diglett's cave. You can pretty much single.
Gengar and Clefable have, through trademarking and beta art, been proven to have some of the earliest Pokemon made. Coincidentally, they are also some of the first Pokemon when you list the original 151 by index number, with Gengar appearing shortly after Clefable. Also, Clefairy was originally going to be the mascot of Pokemon instead of Pikachu, so it's going to be a very important Pokemon. This theory states that the Gengar that you usually see are actually the shadows of Clefable, with how similar they look in design. This is about creepy Pokédex entries, some of which I've actually done a video about earlier this month if you're interested. Some of which are about Cacturne, Haunter, and more terrifyingly meaty descriptions of our beloved pocket monsters. For example, Yamask, the wandering spirit Pokemon. Each of them carries a mask that's used to be its face when it was human. Sometimes I look at it and cry. The Ruins of Alph is a historical place located in Johto region, in the southwest of Violet City, with entrances to the south of Johto, Route 36, and west of Johto, Route 32. It is a famed place for archaeologists who are researching the ruins to discover the mystery of the mysterious Pokemon, called Unknown. The ruins are filled with unknown. Once any of the 4 side puzzles inside have been activated, this place itself isn't too frightening. However, the music, now that's a different story. Here's a snippet. Often referred to it as its code, the Berryman script, the buried alive model was to be found on the final story of the Pokemon Tower. It is now what replaced the Marowak Ghost. According to the scripts assigned to it, the buried alive model was intended to be the boss of the tower. A battle will initiate where the buried alive trainer class will battle you. The battle is impossible to win. Once losing, a death screen pops up and it says, "Finally, raw meat." With the game over, it will show buried alive dragging Red down into its hole. I love this story, and it was something to up the creepypasta level to Lavender Town. Not that it needed one. With that comes an end to the tip of the iceberg. Now, let's descend lower. Pokemon, such as Yamask, are actually people who had turned into Pokemon. That means that once dead, or possibly not, their spirits kind of get reborn into the Pokemon. This is similar to the belief that our spirits can turn into animals as well as after a human life. Some other Pokemon that can be used are humans are like Spiritomb, Ghastly, and Phantump. In the original Red and Blue, when you encounter your rival in Lavender Town, you ask whether or not you let one of your Pokemon die. At this point in the game, he no longer has Eradicate that he used in the previous battle. Your rival, before this took place aboard the SS Anne, your rival's Eradicate sustained serious injuries from the battle, but because of crowding confusion of the luxury liner, he was unable to make it to a Pokemon Center in time, and his Eradicate passed away. The real reason your rival not returned to town is to begin to lay his deceased friend to rest. Despite all that, your rival never outwardly tells you you're responsible for the death of his Pokemon. He hides his grief, instead of channeling that energy into the motivation he needs to continue his quest to become the Indigo League champion. The death of his Eradicate effectively destroys your rival's impish childhood innocence. Anne's room is a room in the Pokemon League Plasma Castle. It's that of a child, and has eerie music to go along with it. And is personally my favorite rival, but man, that's creepy. And it's actually the main theme of this year's Halloween event.
Come, little children, come with me. Safe and happy you will be. Away from home, now let us run. With Hypno you'll have so much fun. Oh, little children, please don't cry. Hypno wouldn't hurt to fly. Be free to frolic, free to play. Come with me to our cave to stay. Oh, little children, please don't squirm. These ropes I know will hold you firm. Now look to me, the pendant calls. Back and forth your eyelids fall. Oh, little children, you cannot leave. For you, your families will grieve. Mine's unraveling at the seams, allowing me to haunt their dreams. Do not wail and do not weep. It's time for you to go to sleep. Little children, you were not clever. Now you'll stay with me forever.
Pokemon Creepy Black is a very strange Pokemon hack based on the original Pokemon Fire Red. Unlike your everyday Pokemon hack, this one revolves around the creepypasta of the Pokemon game. The game hides itself as an original Pokemon Fire Red version, but has some weird instances that will freak you out. For example, upon starting the game, you will see a Ghost-type Pokemon that will suddenly appear in your party. When using Ghost Pokemon, there can only be one move: Curse. Using this move is very creepy, and it literally kills the opponent Pokemon. Prepare to sense and feel the mysterious presence of darkness and death in this creepypasta video game. Bad Egg in Generation 3 is a phenomenon represented in Generation 3 to Generation 4 Pokemon games and in Pokemon Home that result from a corruption of Pokemon data so that the checksum does not match up with the data's calculation. In Generation 5, sometimes bad eggs can hatch into ... or another bad egg. I know that it isn't the scariest part of this layer, but we're moving on to the middle. And let's start that out with something a bit creepier. Creepypasta based off of the video game. The unnamed narrator plays a hacked version of a classic game, Pokemon Red. And since he's assuming it's a he, as gender is not given, never played this particular game before. He takes it home before realizing the game is hacked. Furthermore, he can't continue the game from where the previous player left off. Whenever he hits the continue button, he just gets a message: no. Frustrated, the narrator starts a new game, but to his surprise, he likes most of the alterations made to the game. Instead of playing as a silent protagonist who could be anybody, he plays as a fleshed out character, Steve, with his Charmander, Mickey, his brother Mike, as a rival, and a realistic relationship and dialogue with various NPC characters. and a cool sprite to boot. And from context clues, the narrator is able to infer the hack game takes place a year before the actual Pokemon Red and Blue games. As the game goes on, Mickey proves to be a powerhouse. She handles type disadvantages extremely well, and evolves earlier than is typical for members of her species. And Steven gains an actual reputation from his wins, with NPCs he's never met before eventually recognize him. And to top it all off, Steven beats Mike in the championship battle of the Pokemon League in a way that the narrator prefers to the Pokemon Red and Blue way. After the match, Mike persuades Steven into trading Mickey to him so the two of them can complete their Pokédex. But the trade is interrupted by a loud snap. The game actually freezes. The narrator starts the game and finds that he is resuming play from a year, in game time at least, after the previous scene. Steven is visiting the grave of Mickey, who is implied to have died as a result of the failed trade. He appears to have completely given up on everything he achieved due to his grief, which doesn't seem to have gotten any better, and the narrator draws some chilling conclusions about why some things in the vanilla Pokemon Red and Blue are the way they are. After a time, wandering around aimlessly, wondering what he was supposed to be doing, the narrator does eventually find a path forward. Steven does know one way to bring Mickey back and goes for it, but he ultimately pays a terrible price. Pokemon Lost Silver is a creepypasta story about a disturbing haunted Game Boy cartridge for the Pokemon game Pokemon Silver. After playing the game, you're stuck in a tower with the Runes of Alph music playing. More disturbing things happen until you face off against Red with your dead Cyndaquil and evil Celebi. I recommend watching my video from last year, where I actually narrate the story. In Black and White, she simply appears on a post-game bridge. Talking to her causes her to disappear. An NPC tells you that a young girl used to play in the area with her Abra before the bridge was built. In Black and White 2, she actually continues the story, where most people would have learned about this. However, Black and White 2 took a little bit more searching and NPC conversations to actually meet this ghostly girl. She was a part of my video earlier talking about creepy moments in Pokemon. And if you haven't watched that video, I highly recommend it. And let's move on. The Old Chateau is a haunted mansion and houses many ghosts. Ghost-type Pokemon. The mansion is infested with ghost-type Pokemon, just ghastly from exploration, including a Rotom that haunts the television. The player must trump through the TV to get to Rotom and appear and battle them. From there on, they can try and capture it. Little Girl Ghost. The ghost of a little girl appears in one room. The player cannot interact with her, and after leaving the room, she is nowhere to be found in the entire mansion. Old Man Ghost. The ghost of an old man, possibly a butler, haunts the dining area. He glides across the room and disappears in the kitchen. Glaring Statue. A statue of a Pokemon appears in the main room. It glares at the player if they try to speak to it. Haunted Picture. In an upstairs room, a haunted picture appears. It will close its eyes if the player walks close to it, and upon going to the room, its eyes will follow them. It's highly implied that it is a Gengar, since the player can find Gengar in the room if they have the Generation 3 games on the bottom of the 3DS cartridge. And of course, Rotom haunts the television upstairs. Mimikyu, the disguised Pokemon. Its actual appearance is unknown. A scholar who saw what was under arrest was overwhelmed and by terror and died from the shock. In the Pokemon series, Mew is an ancestor to every known Pokemon, containing information on all other Pokemon and cell structures, so it's the ability to use all technical and hidden machines. A group of scientists dream of creating the world's greatest Pokemon. Their plan was to clone Mew and amplify the creation's power, resulting in one of the artificial Pokemon, Mewtwo. This theory states that more than just Mewtwo was created. Ditto may have been a result of a failed Mewtwo from the scientist. The color and shiny improvises that has a lot of similarities to Mew. Well, it seems we'll have to cut that part here. I'll release the other half on Monday for Halloween, so stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, please subscribe for the second part. And with that, let's head over back to me and Gengar, shall we? I told you guys not to film without me. Well, guys, that's it for today's episode. If y'all enjoyed, I will see y'all next time on our very, very special actual day of Halloween special, where we'll cover part 2 of this creepy iceberg and go down even lower. So, from my family to yours, I'll see y'all, and I hope you have a great October. Adios. October 31st. What's up, guys? It's me, Patu, or the Devil Hell's Kitchen, whichever you prefer, along with Gengar, or Mista, and Zorua, or Mrs. Scoops Ahoy. And we are back with part 2 of the Pokemon Iceberg, and with that, there's not much to say except for Happy Halloween. I hope you guys are having a safe one. This should be out around 4 o'clock, I believe. So if you're just coming back from school or you've been waiting for this for the whole day, it is here. And I'm not going to waste any more time. Let's get right into it. Ace wanted to say hi too. I don't know if you hear him whining over there, but let's get right into it, shall we? Happy Halloween, everyone. Today ends our 5-video marathon, and we end it with the lower halves to the depth of the ocean. So let's jump back in to this deep, deep iceberg. The Gygus connection comes not only from its visual similarities, but some of its developers may have a connection in helping develop Mewtwo. Ape Inc. developed Mother One and was refunded as Creatures Inc. in 1995. This same subsidiary of Nintendo later helped develop Pokemon games. Creatures Inc. owns 1/3 of the entire franchise of Pokemon, and its president, Tanaka, directly composed the music of Earthbound for Mother 2. For a different theory altogether, Satoshi Tajiri, the person responsible for development of the Pocket Monster franchise, in the first place says the inspiration for developing the franchise came partly from his love of anime. Dragon Ball Z at the time was very popular in Japan, so entirely possible that Satoshi Tajiri watched DBZ and was inspired to make Mewtwo as well. When you go to Big Wave Beach, you will speak to a youngster who mentions about some weird happenings at the trainer school you visited previously. Go there at night, and you'll find a girl with a Drifloon who speaks about the 7 mysteries that are happening in the school. She will give you various pointers to solve them. Scary PA system. Go upstairs, and you'll find out the speaker is broken. Stairs to nowhere. Stairs in the school keep cycling. Interact with notice board to get gasoline. Lord Slimy. At night, the slimy sound is heard. Go upstairs to find it's the janitor's grinder. Scary lights. Go to the incinerator in the northeast to find a lass burning things. Curse diary. Go
Go to the diary on the shelf to be attacked by a Drifloon. Ghost class. Go upstairs to find a class of children, but it turns out to be a hypno hallucination. Everything seems to lead back to hypno, or so it seems. After finding those 6, the girl will say she can't help with the 7th, but know about how she moves to Alola and didn't know English, and now wants to protect the school. You receive some wine glasses, but you get interrupted by a security guard, and after talking to him, the girl disappears. Noted that security guard did not see her and never saw her to begin with. Drifloon's Pokédex entry says, stories go that it grabs the hand of small children and drags them away to the afterlife. It dislikes heavy children, funnily enough.
Sableye is based on the Hopkinsville Goblin, a creature from a legend alien encounter in Hopkinsville, Kentucky. The Hopkinsville Goblin was described as a roughly child size, with huge heads and powerful clawful arms on relatively stunted bodies, fan-like ears and massive, brightly shining red eyes. Bullets fired at the creature and were said to bounce off of his gleaming metallic skin, and their claws sliced easily through the home's metal roofing. They had their arms up as they walked, as though wading through water, and constantly swayed their hips. This references the Heart Gold and Soul Silver fight between the protagonists, Hugh, and Giovanni. Radio Tower Leader puts this in good words, so I'm gonna let him read this from the Zamino and link to everything below. In game's canon, Giovanni disbands Team Rocket and abandons his only son, Silver. He leaves the gym, the league, and any position of authority behind. He has nothing but his Pokemon. He goes off to train in solitude, with no one but his Pokemon as companions, much like Red presumably had. Even if he did go back to Kanto, he'd have nothing, besides prison if we think realistically. So, he's training in a place full of wild Pokemon that his are weak to. He lives alone for 3 years, most likely taking minimal contact with other humans so he can gather supplies and traveling frequently. Then he meets this kid who says nothing and travels with Celebi floating behind him. They battle, and despite 3 years of training, he loses to this kid. So he leaves the cave. But then what? There's a noise heard. Something like static. It obviously holds some meaning. The theory states that he jumps into the waterfall and takes his life. However, he's later seen at the Pokemon World Tournament, showing that he's definitely not dead. The noise is heard inside and sounds like the radio static. This theory is similar to the Giovanni one, where after defeating Red takes his life. The main reason people believe this is for his random disappearance on the mountain after the fight. The reason this is lower than Giovanni is because I believe this one's more unbelieved as the other one, and more just simply disappeared after his loss, maybe returning home. He is also battleable in Black and White. I don't know where I got Diamond and Pearl from. Black and White, too, as well as Sun and Moon. E is a creepypasta about a shiny Eevee that, when trying to evolve into Espeon and being cancelled every time, begins to corrupt. The corruption leads to becoming more and more evil. This leads not only to feigning, but killing other trainers' Pokemon, before killing the in-game character the narrator used. His final words uttering, "You should have let me evolve." A similar retelling to Lost Silver. This story sees Gold travel through Mount Silver. However, due to extreme cold, he's caught in a struggle. Him and his Pokemon begin to freeze. Frostbite ensues, and his Pokemon die off, one by one. After his Pokemon, except for Typhlosion, are killed, a Celebi attacks, harming the player. He awoke in a cave. He begins to continue his descent into freezing. He then runs into a frozen Red, who challenges to a battle. His Pokemon, just like yours, are deceased. Once defeating Red, Destiny Bond is used, thus ending the game. A Pikachu named Jessica is a narrator's favorite from her beloved Pokemon Yellow. However, when not paying attention, her friend evolved her into a Raichu after she had been transferred to Pokemon Crystal. This saddens the narrator. However, after moving Jessica back to Yellow, she still treats her as her favorite. After destroying her Yellow copy in a fit of rage, although the reader was saddened, she continues to carry on with her life, got a girlfriend, and continued to play Pokemon as the years advanced. After getting Black and White and playing it, they transferred a Yellow Forest Pikachu, who named itself Jessica. Jessica refused to evolve in Black and White, stating, "Remember me." The Pikachu would then begin to terrorize the player, citing memories as well as developing into an angry, vengeful spirit. Until finally the reader apologizes, and the Pikachu forgives. In the end, Jessica the Raichu is added into Pokemon Black and White, a decade of anger. Forgiven.
I felt gutted and a little sad that some of my past had died.
Pikachu who goes insane.
To relive some nostalgic moments, I traded my team back to Yellow and began to fight some Pokemon with my team, my love for it being back. Although Jessica wasn't following me around anymore,
the sky is bloody red.
I still treated her like the Pikachu I always had.
In the end,
I even spoke to my game a few times, and once or twice thought she responded to me. If I felt happy, the Raichu's cry wasn't normal and tough. And if it felt sad, it felt slowed down and a little saddened. It might have just been me, but oh well.
After clicking one of the options, the last text
when Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire came out, I was distraught that I couldn't trade Gen 1 and Gen 2 Pokemon to them.
Similar to Jessica.
I felt incredibly sad and put down my Pokemon Yellow to pick a copy of Pokemon Ruby.
This is just as stated. A death and injury tracker shown how many were done by playing and involving Pokemon Go. It's in the links if you want to check it out. It's not too crazy or too scary, but I thought it's kind of weird.
2008 on the topic.
Glitch City can be accessed by
executing
a series
knows
of
about
steps
and
that
nobody like makes videos on anymore, or people just kind of forgot what you have to do.
The player should
step out,
enter a
go
safari
back
zone.
inside.
Then after
He's gonna
entering,
ask you to leave.
attempt to
You're
leave
gonna
the
say
safari
no.
zone.
Then you save the
When
game.
the attendant asks if you want to leave this early, the player should answer no and re-enter
Now, when we
the
go
safari
inside,
zone.
he should think he's
Rather than
confused
actually
basically and think we're
the
entering
game
for the
should be
first time.
saved and reset.
But we're not.
When the player
so we
now
are
attempts
not
to
going to
leave the
enter the
safari zone again,
but what's
the
happening,
attendant will
I'm
instead
not quite
ask
sure
if
what's
the player would
happening,
like to join
is the
the
game
safari game.
thinks we're in Safari
To
Zone.
which
So when
the
you go to the
player
Safari
should
Zone,
answer
and I
no
think every single
and leave to the
Pokemon
south
game,
exit.
you have like a step
After
counter.
taking
Now you
500
can't see the
steps
step counter,
at any location
at least
other
right
than
now we
Safari
can't.
Zone,
And once that
Safari
step
Zone
counter
PA
runs
warning.
out,
And
then
the
we'll be
player
transported
will be
back
warned
to
into Safari Zone
back to the Safari Zone, back to the
by
game.
leaving the gate
Now,
through the south
since
exit,
we're messing the
player
game up, the
will
game's
enter
supposed to think we're in the
Glitch
Safari Zone.
City.
Obviously, we're not, as the step.
When it finds humans or Pokemon it dislikes, it freezes them and takes them to its chilly den, where they become decorations. Reimagined 101 is an artist who recreates 101 Pokemon as their most disturbing ways they could. Many spooky Pokemon thumbnails you see that you're using as art. It's creepy to say. To end this iceberg, I want to show you a few of my favorites, and link his account if you're interested in looking some more art. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the last few weeks of Halloween themed videos. If you enjoyed, a like and comment would be greatly appreciated. And I hope you guys have a great Halloween. Let's go back to my other self, but thank you guys. Like I said, I really do appreciate everybody who's been stopping by. People like Isaiah who comments all the time. I see it and I appreciate it, and it's awesome. Thank you guys. Oh, let's get this off. Oh my gosh. That is very hard to see out of. No, actually, it's okay, but it's very tight the way that I sewed it. But yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed. It's been a very fun month. Many episodes were uploaded this week, and hopefully I continue this trend. I know I will take a break for like one of the weeks in the next few weeks because it's gonna be my birthday. I'm gonna be out of town, so stay with me. I will upload more. But yeah, guys, I hope you have a safe Halloween. Like I said, get some candy, whatever you want to do, party, just don't too much. And I think that is it, guys. Stay safe.